Hello. ഇതിൽ തന്നെ AAU ഡെസ്ക്ടോപ്പിലിട്ടാൽ മതി. PPT കാണാമോ?
എല്ലാം വേണ്ടി വരുമോ?
അല്ല, PPT പേജസ് ആണോ?
ഇത് പേജസ് ആണ്. ഇത് നമ്മൾ പേജ് തൊണ്ണൂറ്റിരണ്ടെണ്ണം.
Hello, 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 hello.
ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ
Hello.
Good morning to all. In the academic world, our research only truly lives when it is shared. Thus, the workshop, Publish or Perish, maximizing your chances to get your manuscript rapidly accepted, is a vital step in your journey to ensuring your hard work reaches the global stage. Today, we come together under the inspiring theme Dreams Come True to master the art of scientific communication. Let us begin the program with a moment of silent prayer.
We formally begin this auspicious occasion by inviting our distinguished Dean of College of Climate Change and Environmental Science, Dr. Nami Pio, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, all of you. Respected Professor Kadambot Siddiq, who is a Hackett professor with the University of Western Australia. Respected Dr. K.N. Anith, the Director of Research, Kerala Agricultural University. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor had agreed to join, but then since it got delayed, he has some other meetings, so he said he may not be able to join. So in his absentia also, I acknowledge him for his support for this workshop. Ms. Indu of Indian Forest Service is here, other faculty members of Kerala Agricultural University, and my dear students. And sir, we have close to 100 plus registered students from across the different colleges of KU. So they are primarily masters and PhD students. And out of the 100, 21 have come with a manuscript. So you go to have in a lot of job after the workshop. Okay, so we are having this workshop on the publish or perish. I don't need to tell to you in the academic and research landscape the significance of publishing quality work. And we are so come and occupy the seat. Come. Dr. Imya, come in and take your seat. And keep the door closed. Yeah. So, and for this workshop, I don't think, we can have a better person than Professor Siddiq to handle this session to all of us. Before getting into his credential, I would like to indicate that for those for whom Siddiq sir is new, he's an alumnus of Kerala Agricultural University who did his BSc way back in 1977 from the prestigious College of Agriculture at Vellani. Then he did his masters from the prestigious IARI in crop physiology way back in 1979, and then he did his PhD from the University of Western Australia in 1985. So that's his academic background. And I'm not getting into the details of his other credentials, which will be told to you just before his talk when who is going to introduce the speaker. But I would just like to touch upon a few points because that is late occasion, I don't want to take, much of the time. But, I think I should mention these points to look at the publication credentials of Siddiq sir. I was just going through his latest profile, and he has close to 1,000 publications. And, his publication rate, I've been closely watching him, and he updates in the social media on his publication. At least, one paper on an average per week, if not more than that. So that's the publication rate at which he publishes. So close to 1,000 research articles, 183 review articles, 80 books and book chapters, 33 conference papers, etc., etc., etc. And his H index is 123. And if you want to understand what H index does mean is, for example, if you say that no one has a H index of 20, which means that the 20 papers have been cited 20 times. So 123 H index means at least his 123 papers have been cited more than 100 times. So in publication, it is important that you're publishing a work, but it is also equally important that how far your publication have been cited by other researchers. That shows the significance or the quality of that research output. So that's the H index. And just to make an analog on the H index, on an average, if you check at the universities across Kerala, there may not be more than a dozen people with a double-digit H index. And in KU with the double-digit, there are a couple of people. One is our director of research with an H index of 20 plus. So that is H index, and his citations also I checked. It is 60,000 plus citations. So his papers have been cited by 60,000 times. So some of the the reasons why I said we cannot have a better person than Siddiq sir to handle this session. A couple more points and then I'll stop. He has received more than 100 research grants, and his research grant worth to the budget worth to the tune of 80 million US dollars. To have a comparison, it is twice the budget of Kerala Agriculture University. That is the budget that he handles by himself on his research. And getting a competitive research grant is which is highly competitive. So that also shows an academic credential of sir. And yeah, it goes on and on and on. And I don't. Well, one of the other things that I would like to highlight here with respect to Siddiq sir is that he has been a strong supporter of Kerala Agriculture University, specifically of our college, where he has been responsible along with Professor Prasad Rao, way back in 2009, 2010 to start this college. At that time, it was Academy of Climate Change and Research, and subsequently elevated to the status of college. So, sir has been responsible for starting this climate change institute or climate change college in the Kerala Agriculture University, which is one of the first of its kind in Asia. So there are a lot of things that KU is obliged to him, and we are extremely happy in spite of his busy schedule. He was in Brunei attending a FAO meeting. From there, he was in Delhi. It is at that time, I really made a contact with sir, and he has kindly agreed to, because he was to fly back to Australia, but in between he has taken time to come to KU and spend time with all of us. So that shows his love and affection and care towards this institute, this university, of course all of you. So on behalf of Kerala Agriculture University and on behalf of the College of Climate Change and Environmental Science, I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir. ഫോട്ടോ എഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് എടുക്കണം, നല്ല കൃത്യമായിട്ടുള്ള ഫോട്ടോ കിട്ടുള്ളൂ കേട്ടോ. Okay, and well, we have with us Dr. Anit. And Anit is a professor, senior professor with the university, and he is also holding the charge of the director of research. Dr. Anit has come here on time, and as I said, he is one of the lead publisher in Kerala Agriculture University. There are a lot of important publications to his credit. And after him assuming charge of the director of research, the director of research has been made so dynamic. He himself had conducted a series of technical writing workshop in collaboration with Elsevier and other organizations. And he's a microbiologist by training, and he has substantial contribution towards agriculture research. I, on behalf of all of us gathered here, extend a warm welcome to Dr. Anit. I extend a warm welcome to Ms. Uma Madam of Indian Forest Service, who has taken her time and come here to attend this workshop. I welcome all the teachers and other research students. I welcome the team from the Directorate of Information System, who is making the logistic and technical support for this workshop. I extend a warm welcome to one and all who has gathered here. Thank you.
We extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Nami sir for his warm welcome.
In the absence of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, we now request Dr. K.N. Anit sir, Director of Research, Kerala Agriculture University, to deliver the presidential address and inauguration ceremony.
A good day to all of you, Dr. Siddiq, Dr. Namir, students and colleagues. Definitely, the Directorate of Research has been trying to inculcate the culture of publishing into the faculty as well as students. As said earlier, we have been trying to conduct such workshops in Kerala Agriculture University. Partially, it was successful. I don't say that it is 100% successful. But I would say that now we have a person who has got, one of the highest H index, 123 as earlier said, and he has got a citation of more than 60,000. A small comparison with what we have with us in Kerala Agriculture University. The highest number of publication by Kerala Agriculture University person is 120, but the citation falls very less. It is only 811. The person who has got the highest citation who serves in Kerala Agriculture University, I don't say the name of, but this citation count is only 1,136. The highest H index for a working person here, it is 18. Okay, so compare with that. And one thing is that, we lack a bit of culture of getting published. Okay. Publication basically gives you some kind of confidence rather than you publish for your career. When it comes to your self-satisfaction, that is the most important thing. We lack kind of such a thinking process. Definitely, for your career enhancement, publication is very, very important. But when you do research, when you do good quality research, and I believe that Kerala Agriculture University students and faculty do good quality research when compared to almost all other places. When you read the papers which are coming in high impact journals, especially in the frontier series journals and as well as scientific reports, etc., many times we wonder that why did the people from Kerala Agriculture University not publish in such journals with vast data which you have? Kind of a lack of confidence is one of the most important thing. We believe that we are not worth it. That's not the case. That is not the case. You do good quality research. When you do good quality research, the best way to disseminate it to the scientific community is through kind of publications. And then you most often what we do is that we go for shortcut methods whereby you publish in local journals. I don't say that all local journals are bad, but most often it happens that you go for predatory journals rather, so that you pay some money and then get it published, and the enthusiasm gets killed there. But when you if you apply for you will send your manuscript to some good quality journals, only thing is that it may take uh, time, maybe sometimes starting from 3 months to 1 or 2 years for getting it published. But that is a kind of a culture. You have to wait and wait to get good quality publication. Now, in Kerala Agriculture University, there is a change that is felt in the last 4 or 5 years. Uh, we have been publishing quite a good number of papers in the last 5 years. Kerala Agriculture University has published in Scopus, if you check, 1,610 papers in the last 5 years. And last 3 years has been very productive by the faculty members. In 2023, it was for 248. In 2024, 319, and the last year it was 362 papers. Okay, but one thing I would like to tell you is that almost all these papers are written by middle level or senior level faculty members, or the students, or the research group belonging to them. And I don't say that freshers who got admitted in the last 5 years are responsible for the increment in number of publications. Rather, it is the senior scientists and the middle level scientists who are responsible. They just now only they realize that publications are very, very important as far as the reputation of a university is concerned. Okay. Now, a little bit of comparison with some of nascent universities would suggest that the culture of publication is lacking in Kerala Agriculture University. If you take the whole number of publications in Kerala Agriculture University, in the maybe Scopus has started it indexing long back, but it is only 3,037 papers. The total number of papers published by Kerala Agriculture University scientists is only 3,037. But if you compare it with Tamil Nadu Agriculture University has got 11,000 papers as a total. Amrita University, which is a private university, has got 34,151 papers, a total. And IARA, of course, it is a prestigious institution. Our research is being done in a cosmopolitan manner, and it has got more than 20,000 papers. You take the northernmost Agriculture University, Kashmir, then also it is double the amount of Kerala Agriculture University. It is 6,210 papers have been published by Sherik Kashmir University, Srinagar. Okay, so I think the faculty members and guides need to have some kind of a thinking wherein the youngsters, students need to be guided for getting their papers published. Okay, one thing is sure that in science, one thing is very, very important. What you are is less important than where you are. Where you are is important than what you are. Even if you have uh, good quality, and if you are put it in a system where there are lot many number of hurdles, definitely your performance will be very bad. But if you are just above mediocre level or an average scientist, if you get to work with a situation where there is enough support from the authorities, from the colleagues, etc., your productivity will be more. But the thing is that I don't say that our system is bad, but it can be improved. It can be improved, and then the improvement has to come from the guides as well as students. And I think such a forum uh, of workshop that will guide the students in getting their students and faculty members in getting their research findings published in good quality journals is a good beginning, and then we'll continue to do so. And I wish all the very best for you. At least Dr. Namir said there are 100 people, and if in the coming 3 or 4 months, if 50 of you start writing, I don't say that it's getting published, but at least if you 50 of you start to write a manuscript, this is going to be a big success. And I congratulate the dean of the college in arranging such a program, and I'm happy to be here. I'm very sorry I got another meeting that is going on, and therefore I am unfortunate to be here listening to Dr. Siddiqui. Probably a recorded version can be sent to me. I'll be very happy to listen to it. Anything is unimportant. I would not say like publication or writing a manuscript, etc., is not just like an inherent quality. It is not an inherent quality like dancing or singing or playing an instrument, etc. It's not at all an inherent quality. It can be acquired. It is an acquired quality. The very best example of for that man is speaking to you. Okay, I acquired it by training and a kind of a self-training. I never had a mentor in guiding me in publication. I trained myself, and then if I trained myself, and if I can acquire maybe something which is not so bad, I won't say that it's great, no, but not so bad. Then if a mentor or a guide supports you and helps you, and it is going to be far better. And anybody can, any of the person or scientist or faculty members or student working in science can acquire that character. Only thing is that you need to get trained, and I hope that this is a kind of a training program that will help you in acquiring that character. All the very best. Since Dr. Ashok is not here, with your permission, I inaugurate this function, and then, I wish you all the success. Thank you very much.
Our thanks to Dr. K.N. Anit sir for formally inaugurating the program. So we are exceptionally honored to announce that our upcoming keynote session will be delivered by Professor Kadambodh H.M. Siddiq sir, the Hackett Professor of Agriculture Chair and Director at the University of Western Australia Institute of Agriculture. He is an esteemed alumnus of our own Kerala Agriculture University. Professor Siddiq is a world-renowned leader in crop science with more than 30 years of experience in agriculture research and management. His journey from these very halls to global recognition is a testament to his dedication and brilliance. His career includes national and international honors, Fellow of the Australian Academy of Technological Sciences and Engineering, and a recipient of the Member of the Order of Australia. His prestigious recognition includes recipient of the Aubrey Memorial Award and a gold medal and citation from the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, for his outstanding contributions to food security. He is credited with the release of 13 new gen legume cultivars and pioneering research in wheat yield improvement and dryland agriculture system. He is also former Associate Research Dean at University of Western Australia and Director of the Centre for Legumes in Mediterranean Agriculture. Welcome, sir, for the session.
So very good morning, and thank you, everyone. And of course, your director of research has gone, and appreciate he spent time. Thanks, Namir, and you for the new PhD student. And some of the faces are familiar. I think you are still there, one of the first batch of students. You were one of the first batch, right? No? No. So there were one or two, I think there are staff here. I have been giving lectures here for a long time. And again, we are very proud that we started this college way back in 2009, 10. And so it's still continuing. And again, congratulations to Namir, who has taken it to a different level. And hopefully, by the time I come in December, my holidays, all the things will be complete. So we just heard from your director of research about the importance of publication, and I fully agree with him that that must be done. I don't think we are just here for publishing. If people are undertaking research, then it must be published. That's the way I see that. So a student walks into my office and they want to do PhD with me. I say, why you want to do PhD? And once I get admission, I say, what do you want to do? Then we go through that rigorously. When they plan the experiment at that time, I ask, why you want to do that? Where you want to publish? So normally people do everything. They find a home to publish. Then it is very, very hard. I'm editor of a number of journals. These days I have reduced. One of the journals which I'm editorial board member, you know, the acceptance rate is the last 3 years, 4.63%, 4.75%, 4.7%. So that means almost 95% of the papers are rejected. And that's why a lot of people are not publishing, because they would have tried and it is going to be tough, number one. Number two is that if you don't publish data, as far as I'm concerned, that does not exist. It may exist in your thesis or it may exist in a report. Globally, it is not existing. Finally, we are all on taxpayers' money. Someone is paying this money and we have an obligation to publish, then only science can proceed. So this is going to be a workshop. You can stop me and ask me questions, because it's going to be that way. It's not just one way. No. So the title is Publish or Perish. If you don't publish, you just perish. So the challenge is to maximize your chance to get your manuscript rapidly accepted. Although your director mentioned it may take 2 years, etc. Nowadays, it is fast. The journals are very streamlined. They are all electronic. Whereas when I was a student and so on, you had to wait for years. It's all through the snail mail. That's all gone. So you can get a decision very fast. For example, I sent an inquiry to a journal, the Plant Physiology, which is a very prestigious one from United States, sent it to one of the section editors and said, I wanted to publish, and we have got this idea. Immediately came back last night. I have to consult with my editorial board. Then we'll get back to you. So instead of me sending that paper, I decided not to send it, what we call pre-submission inquiries. So that way I can save time. If I just use this arrow, yeah, it's coming now. Still not very sharp here, isn't it? Is it clear for you guys? Yeah, for me, this is sharper. So this is my university. Yeah, you can cut this one if you want. Yeah. This is my University of Western Australia, one of the most beautiful campuses on earth. I'm sure that Namir will say that is true. So that's the river, and that red roof building is my university, and I'm on very close to the riverside. I can just walk maybe 50 meters. The river, there's a national park, 650 hectares, what we call Kings Park. I think Namir was there. And that's the largest national park in a city. Perth City, the Swan River, I live on the other side, and it's a wonderful, wonderful campus. So this is the map of Australia. It is one of the continents, one of the last continents. I'm from Western Australia. It is the second largest state in the world, meaning the first one is somewhere in Soviet Union, and a population of just around 3 million people, and very good employment opportunity, a lot of mining, a lot of agriculture, and a wonderful place. Then, of course, other parts of Australia I'm showing there. Very much internationally recognized university, global ranking 100. So why I'm showing that? Your publication is very important for ranking. When we were going through the other day, I mean, just after Nami coming and then I sending some information back, your publication record is pretty marginal or even weak. Not only that, people doesn't use consistent addresses, so the Scopus is not going to able to identify. Since then, I think your Vice Chancellor has sent some circular. Some people say, okay, such and such College of Alliani, Trivandrum. So what? Scopus will get confused. So you must have that. You can have College of Agriculture or College of Climate Science. The university or Kerala Agricultural University should be there. Then only the Scopus will. These are simple things. Very good established connection with the industry, meaning not only theory, we will publish in Nature, Science and so on, but our research is applicable as well. Some people will say that, sir, oh, we are doing a lot for the farmers. So as me, I do a lot for the farmers, but I do turn that into publication, or my team, my students turn that into publications. And there are 39 universities in Australia, and of that, we are the Group 8. Group 8 is the highly research-oriented, research-intensive, prestigious universities. So that's another thing you need to look at when you want to get admission. You just don't want to get admission anywhere. You want to get into the best place, you know, like the Oxfords and the Cambridges and so on. We got Nobel Prize. Those who haven't heard, 2005, we got Nobel Prize in medicine. So we don't have agricultural universities in Australia. So we are part of the comprehensive university. Agriculture is only a small part. And he's a very good friend of mine. He's the man who said stomach ulcer is caused by a bacteria called Helicobacter pylori, not by US stress, not by smoking, not by drinking. Yes, that is important. So this is a nice story about it. I won't go through that. But the main point I want to say here is, so Professor Marshall, Barry, called Barry, told me that his first paper was rejected. So he submitted a paper in 1982 about this. No one believed it was rejected. Then he first submitted his project grant for $80,000. That was rejected. So you can get rejection, you can get things, but you have to persist and prove as long as your science is sound. So I lead this institute, which is quite a very important institute within the university, but I won't tell about too much about it today. And the 2025 annual research report should be coming very soon. So we are 13th in the world, such a small group, number 1 in Australia. So largely because of the papers we publish, where we publish. Someone is drilling us. This is the construction going on. So the ranking of your university will depend upon what we publish and so on. It will take some time. So, now we lost everything. Can someone come and help? What is that? We don't want online, right? We were here, right? We are here. Say. I don't believe no one is coming, so we can go camera. So the ranking of the because you now you look at your Kerala Agriculture University, I think you are now what is 13 or 14, 12 in India, which is good, but that's not good enough for me. Number 1 is the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, but when I look at the global ranking, they are nowhere near there. So I don't look at ranking within the country, that's important, but I look at where you are in globally. But of course, for you from 12, you must be aiming to reach at least the top 5. That should be the vision for the Vice Chancellor. That should be the vision for the senior members of the university. It can be done. So when I took over this particular position 20 years ago, we were something like 70 in the world. So my target was to reach 25 in the world by about 3 or 4 years ago. And of course, world ranking is very hard. previous year we were 9 and last year we were 13. So because the competition is tough. So this is important ranking. Why ranking is important? That shows the prestige of the institution, the quality of the teaching, the quality of the research, and the impact you can have on your community. So I do normally a person of my position, when you become a director and a long time, you stop your research, you stop your teaching. That's what happens. But I did not. I wanted to do that because for me to get up in the morning and get excited is because of my students, my publications on. If that was not there, it's easy for me to manage an institute, become a manager, and there are people working. So these are some of my PhD students. So to date, I have completed successfully 65 PhD students so far. So the number of papers, quite a lot of them coming from the students. So I have at the moment, I thought it was 28 and someone told me you have now 30 students. That's a lot of workload. I had to be vigilant. I had to be with them every week and then finding money for their research, making sure that the research is completed, submitted. So it's a lot of commitment. And also I had to read every night, every day, new papers coming in, because if I'm not in tune with what is the latest going on, I'm no good in supervising students. So Namir, this is a new one here. You can see that I went and looked at, you can also go and look at it. Who is my collaborators? So there are two things you have to look at it. One is the size of the circle. The other one is where the circles are. Obviously, I'm in Australia, so my circle is quite big there. But look at that in China, quite big. India is very big, and many countries, including North America, South America, Africa, Europe. So these are my collaboration. That itself speaks that whether my students finished and gone into those countries, and my collaborators, projects, this has been built over the years. And the main message is that I didn't start when I started from Velaini at 0, right? So build up, that makes impact. In fact, Namir, the current is 151 is the H index, and 86,000 is the citation. So last year alone was 16,000 citations. That's amazing in terms of getting that. What it means is that your paper, your science has impact. One way to measure that. But this is very interesting to see this collaboration of my research. Now, what is my credentials? A co-author, as Nami mentioned, more than 1,000 papers. Review. I had to review quite a lot of journals because when you publish, someone is reviewing. So that's a lot of work. Editorial board members of various journals. I used to do a lot more, now decided, but that also means a lot of work at night and weekends and while you're traveling. High cited, that's something which is very proud. Clarivate listed me as the high cited researcher in 2 categories, one in agriculture science and plant science. That means you are top in your field in the world. It's a very competitive one. They compare with globally with that. Did I pass the test with all that? My students ask. Sometimes I keep on telling that even to write one paragraph properly, it can take time. I continue to polish and make it perfect so that when we send the stuff to the reviewers, apart from the technical thing, it is perfect. So your chances of acceptance are more. So learn every day and also learn new things. So then you are publishing good journals, but also you need to aim for very good journals. So for example, this paper came out in Nature Plants, I think Impact Factor is around 20 plus or 25 there. There's another one in Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, PNAS, again, very difficult to publish agriculture type of papers. First paper in Nature, this is the true Nature. And that's again with collaboration, some 14 years of research into something to do that. So that's the only paper I have published in Nature. So I'm feeling happy with that, but it's not easy to publish original research papers in Nature there. Just last year, this is another one, Nature Communication, still prestigious. This is again, you can see diversifying crop rotation increases food production, reduces net greenhouse gas emission, and improves soil health. So the topic is all very relevant, but to get into a good journal, it was not very easy there. This is another one, which is published on 29 impact factor. Again, integrated strategies for enhancing agri-food productivity, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and improving soil health. So again, you know, these kind of things which can be targeted and published there. This is just, I think this year, this is about nature communication. You heard about plastic, how the plastic is polluting environment, and how can we look at a new type of plastic, biodegradable plastic into the system, again, then published in Nature Communication. So now with that background, I think I'm competent enough to advise you and many others. So what is there for the tips for the young players? So those people who are already going to be retired, probably it is not much use, but certainly students, masters, PhD, and also staff, what we call early career researchers. If you are not going to publish, if you want to be in research, then there is no other choice. If you want to get into management or something else, then it's a different story. And your thesis. So first thing is everyone says, oh, I'm so busy, I have meeting, I'm doing this. So getting started, your research paper or research thesis is the biggest challenge. So only one solution, there is no other magic bullet. You just start now. So this is the most difficult stage. We postpone everything for something else. We say that, oh, I'm too busy. I got this meeting, I got to this exam, I got marriage and so on. But marriage and other things will happen, but you have to get on to it. The other one is you start it, but you will never finish. That's also very common in some of the students and staff. You will never finish. So I keep on chasing, put a real deadline. So keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And there are so many distractions because you start a little bit and then you say, oh, I have an exam, I have another thing, I've got to go tour, I have to do something for Namir Sir, and so on. They are not excuses. You have to do that, but you have to do right. The other one is that you started writing, then you will never finish. So there are a lot of people's papers only half done and they never finished. And by the time 2-3 years passed, they moved on and done. That's it. So this is very, very important tips for you. Not only this, for your thesis as well. So again, this is better delay in coming. I find this second most difficult. So the first most difficult is starting. The second most difficult is finishing. It doesn't matter. It's a paper. Anything you want to do it. And if you go and not do it, you will not do it. So bit of a discipline there. Now let us look at how to getting started. Remember that the paper starts long before the fingers hit the keyboard. Now no more pen. We are on the keyboard. That is when we really start. A lot of people, what they do, they go and do their research. Then they start writing and looking for a journal. I can guarantee good journals will reject it. Doesn't matter you or me. So the establishment of your hypothesis, we are talking about science here. I think there are mostly it's from science colleges. The design of the experiment is so important. If that design is weak, someone is going to criticize that. Collection of the quality data and correct analysis. These days, again, simple statistics is not to help. You have got R, random forest, and many beautiful stuffs are there. These are all important and successful accepts for a successful paper. Finally, we know when to stop experiments and set aside time to write. This is also very much for PhD students, and because they think that that's not enough, I should stop or not, I think there is a time to stop the experiments and focus on your analysis and writing. So far, so good? Clear? Very good. Now, let us look at some danger. I think this is very much prevalent in Kerala and Kerala Agricultural University. One of the dangers before starting writing the paper is that once analysis is completed, you collected the data, whether it's biological or survey, you are aware of the results because you know what you got. And obvious, and everyone knows about your finding, particularly if you have given a few seminars. This happens because there's a lot of conferences happens within Kerala, outside Kerala, and then you go and presented that, you think that's all done. But that's good, but the problem is the temptation is that it's no longer worth publishing because I have already given a seminar and there is a proceedings came through, but the proceedings no one see. It's a locally generated document. So remember, what is obvious to you is still unknown to the rest of the world. I don't know when you say 1,000 papers published here, and many of them are not even indexed journals. So I don't see that because when I type for the keywords, if it's not an indexed journal or it's not in the Web of Science, it doesn't even come to. And many of them are not cited even one time. Then when I look at that paper, that itself shows that it's not really worth. So I don't cite that paper. So now let us really start crafting your thing. So prepare the result. So we are not going to write the introduction. We are not going to write material method. This is a classical thing we have to do. So the first question is that what to publish? Generally speaking, a full-length article about 5,000, sometimes 7,000 words, a series of experiments or one large experiment making a good story. Some people say, I want to publish 3 papers, sir. Yes, we can, but can we just really have one solid paper rather than the numbers? There was a time when numbers is important. Now a student with the 10 papers applying for a job with me, a student with only 3 papers applied, I look at not the number, I look at the quality and say, okay, the 3 paper is in top journal, so I might give the job to that student. Short notes, there was a time when people used to publish short notes. It's not very common, but there are some journals do take. I haven't published any short notes in my lifetime. General rule, it is better to publish one solid paper than split into 2 or 3 short notes. That's good. So one of the paper I showed in Nature Communication on crop sequence, she's an associate professor now. She was my student in Beijing, China Agriculture University, the #1 in the world. And she said, I want to publish 5 papers. She has data. I said, let us publish 1 paper to start with. And we published in Nature Communication, which is very highly cited. And then we published another papers 5. Still can you publish? Articles in books. This is another trend in India and Kerala. A lot of people publish book, but the book is not really considered as an important in the scientific community. I do publish books, but some people doesn't have any research background. They publish book, and I question that. How did they publish the book when they haven't done their own research? So in my university, if I publish in books, it's not given anything. If I publish 10 books, it has no weightage. So think about that. Now the next question is where to publish. This is very, very, very important. Carefully select the right journal. Who are on the editorial board? From what journal do you cite papers in your reference list? Many students come and ask, sir, where should I publish? So I say, look at the list of references you listed. So if you listed 20, and we don't need me talking there, isn't it? That can be chopped. Oh, correct. Sorry. So which journal publish a similar topic? This is important. For example, let's say you did something on wildlife ecology, and then there are journals in wildlife ecology, or you did something with the environment, agriculture, etc. So for example, we're looking agriculture, ecosystem, environment, or something in crops related, field crop research, European Journal of Agronomy. Then of course you can look at nature and things depending upon Nature Communication, nature sustainability, nature food, nature climate change, and so on. The final decision, the prestige impact factor, I'll come back to that. Time to publish, check the time between submission of the manuscript and publication. These days it's all visible. You can go and look at the journal. Your experience with a specific journal or attitude of reviewers. Some people get a repeated knockback. So there is something wrong. So we may need to look at that. Page charges, there's a lot of APC, big money, $3,000 these days we have to pay for most journals. I don't know how KAU manages that. Then color photos, it's not an issue now because mostly it's online. Earlier they used to charge. Nowadays we put a lot of color photos in papers if it is necessary. So what is impact factor? Anyone know about impact factor here? Just raise your hand. Impact factor of a journal? I know, you know that. Anyone know? Students doesn't know. So for example, a journal with impact factor, let's say Nature, it may be say 60, right? and a journal, average journal in good agriculture journal could be 5 or 6. Then there are journals with the 1.8, etc. So we have to publish in good journals with a good impact factor. So agriculture, plant science, let's take molecular biology. And no point in comparing agriculture impact factor with molecular biology because they are different. So you need to look at the top 10 or 20% of the journal in that field and then go for the highest impact factor. So it is silly to compare the impact factors between disciplines, for example, agriculture and molecular biology. So it's a different field. So the impact factor of 2018, so this is one which I did before I can. So what you do is that the citation in 2018 to articles published in the previous year, 2017. So there are 270 articles published in that journal in 2017. And also it takes normally 2 years. So the number of articles published in 2016. So you got that? So we are looking for impact factor in 2018, but we can't get 2018 data. So you look for 2017 data and 2016. That is the total number of papers published, 629. Then look at the number of articles published. So it's not only the number of articles published. So that's the citation is number 629. The number of articles published is 402. So I went the other way. So there are 270 citations for 2017. 2016 is 359. So the total citation in that journal is 629. Then we look at the number of papers published by that journal in 2017. That is 2013. And then 2016 is 189. The sum is 42. So the calculation of the impact factor is citation to the recent articles. That's a 2 years sum divided by the number of recent articles. Very simple. Basically, what it shows is that people are reading that journal and people are citing. If you don't cite, that means no one has read. It's rubbish. So it's quite a good way, independent way of doing things. So for example, let's take a medical journal or molecular journal. So here what we have is 2003, 2002, and so on. So the citation in 2004, right? And if you publish in 2003, you're already getting very high citation, and 2002 very high citation. As the time goes, it becomes older, it has very little citation. So some of these journals, like electronic journals, medical journals, big thing, people all go and do it, read it, cite it. But as time goes, it's not becoming very important. As opposed to that, let's take here, agricultural environmental journal. So I published a paper in 2004 citation. So as soon as I get 2003, I only getting this much, 2002, 2001, 2000. So it takes time for those journals to get a citation. So that's one of the reasons why some of the journals doesn't have a large impact factor. So when you publish a good paper in agriculture science and so on, it takes time for it to get cited because we are not producing papers like a factory or as rapidly in molecular biology and medical technology. Is that clear? So what it means that you can't compare impact factors across disciplines. This is very important in a university because my student will come back and say, sir, I can't publish in that medical journal or something. I said, you can't. And my colleague is getting very high impact factor publications. I said, well, that's the area where they are belonging. So don't look at some other area, look at your own discipline and look at the top journals in that area. So plan your experiment in such a way that data can be published. Make sure that you have a sound question hypothesis before you begin your research. This is the time when you start your research outline proposal, right? Within the first 6 months of your PhD or master's student in the second semester or third semester. So very important. Without a hypothesis, don't start any research in biological and other areas. That hypothesis may not be the same you wish to use when publishing the data. You can change that. Not a problem, but you have a hypothesis. research without a hypothesis is hard to write, but sometimes there are good reasons to make an inventory, no sound hypothesis. For example, Namir says that, look, this bird is extinct in Kerala, and then he went and collected a lot of data, and he knows the numbers, and probably the hypothesis is there, but it is not a sound hypothesis, but it's an inventory, and itself is important to publish. Think twice before you start your experiment. I would say not twice, I would say 5 times, because either it has been done and it has no novelty and simply wasting time, or you copied senior's thesis and you change the species or location. That's not going to be very interesting. Will it be? No. So, as I mentioned earlier, if the data that has not been published, it doesn't exist to me. If someone come and say in Kerala Agriculture University, we did some wonderful work on rice salinity tolerance or water intolerance, we have been able to see that they're performing. And I ask, where is the data? Oh, it's in my cupboard. I don't have time to come and look at the cupboard. You have to publish it. If you do not publish your data, you might as well not do the experiment. So if you have no intention of publishing, why do you wasting time? I ask my students. Published data can make a lasting impression, so that someone else can come and do, and the research continues. And of course, the outcome in terms of new varieties of package or practice or decision support can come. But if you, as a student looking for some information and you cannot find that from Kerala, then you say that nothing is published. It may have been done. So there are 3 necessary steps in useful research. I'm just giving you that, so at least you've got that message very clear. The first, to begin it. The second, to end it. And the third, to publish it. Who said that? Not me. Michael Faraday said that. So a lot of very notable researchers have said that. So please do keep that in your mind. Now let us look at a structure of a scientific paper. So this is a typical one. Author's address, the title running, abstract, keywords, introduction, materials and methods, results, discussion, acknowledgement, reference tables and figures. This structure may change. For example, when I publish in Nature, actually methods and things come last. So you can change, but this is the general structure. I think we should stick with that. So again, there is a reference for that. Now the next question is that where do I start? And a lot of people make mistake. So I'll ask the students first. So you have done your experiments, you have done the analysis, you have got tables and figures, your supervisor is happy, you have not done any writing. Where will you start? Any idea? Any idea? Doesn't matter even if it is wrong. Come on. Who is PhD here? Student. Raise your hands. No one? Very few. Oh, there's a, yes, you should be. Which year you are? 3rd year. So you're almost there. You got 1 more year to go, maybe less. So where will you start? Tell me. Doesn't matter. If you make mistakes, it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong answer. Where will you start? Results. There you are. So that's good. I used to get previously people say introduction. Some people written abstract before they're writing. What the hell they're going to get? They're writing introduction. You don't know where you're going. How do we introduce? Absolutely, you are right. The result is where to start. Many people argue with me. I will start a materials and method. Then my counter argument is that in your PhD or your research, you have done a lot of method, but you are not going to use that all in that paper. Half of that you won't be using. So you only will use the method when you know your result. Very good. Now begin the result. Arrange the data in figures and table. What I ask students is that do not write anything. So once we're done, every week we meet, and I got a big screen there. We put there, we look at the data, table, figures, etc. And we go through, and next meeting again, we finally agreed at least this is the starting point. Then I ask them to write in dot point, whereas some students go and write full results, blast and come. I look at it and I just put it in the bin, because this is not there until we know, and you and I know, me because I'm your supervisor, know that the results are solid. We agree with that. and there is no disagreement between the guide, you call your guide, we call supervisor. Otherwise, there's a lot of tug of war between supervisor and student goes. Always the students will blame the supervisor. No matter how good it is, they go back and say, oh, my supervisor hasn't read that. He's delaying my thesis and so on. So arrange your data in figures and tables. Are the data best presented as a figures or tables? This is very important. A lot of the Indian papers, what I see is that they put all into tables and very hard to read everything in table. Decide which figure and table come first. This is important. Logically, I ask them, what table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, the figure, etc. Nowadays, we have got the supplementary information you can call S table and so on. Decide the order of that figures and table. So we have not started writing. Make a structure for your results. Decide what you wish to describe first. Design the sections in results in dot point. Again, I've asked students not to write dot point. Figure 1, beautifully drawn. All the stats and everything is there. We are perfect. Put the bullet point. What is the key result in 1, 2, 3 sentences? Then you can construct from there. So it's like a step-by-step process. Then make a structure for each section, dot point. Decide what you to describe in each section, and then start writing. So whereas the other student went and written abstract introduction, materials and method and everything. So then it becomes very hard for me as a supervisor. Then you will find we are wasting a lot of our time. An example of a structure of your result section in dot points. So for example, root morphology. I do a lot of studies on root morphology. Specific root length, which is a trait, root thickness. Then I study the root exudates, for example, carboxylates and phenolics, etc. So I have got subsections there. Effect of root exudates on mobilization of phosphorus, because phosphorus is in the soil bound and these plants can excrete some exudates. And then so I have got 3 subtitles, and within that I have got subsection. So I'll pick up the tables and figures accordingly. So there's a little bit of a logic there. Style in the result section. This is another time we always mistake. The English is our second language, especially now Malayalam. Write your results in the past tense because you have already done. Whereas many students write in the present tense. No. You finished, right? Avoid complex construction. That's also I find very hard. You know, if I cannot understand, if you cannot understand, for example, the rate of photosynthesis was not very fast. Nothing wrong. Why don't you write rate of photosynthesis was slow? Straight direct. We cut down the number of words, etc. Use active voice. I remember my first visit to Delhi or Trivandrum, active voice. My first visit to Delhi is remembered by me, passive voice. The rule does not mean that you should entirely discard the passive voice, but try to use active voice as much as possible. Okay, very clear? Now, the question is that I mentioned a lot of the Indian Kerala papers, it's full of tables. And it's, say, for example, here is a table. So here it is age in days and different organic anions, malic, citrate, malonic, lactic, and so on. Nothing wrong. I can put stats, etc., or I can draw as a figure here. And it's very clear, okay? The scale is on the y-axis and the time in days is there. And you can see some differences, the peak achieving at about 15 days, etc. Perhaps the figure is looking good. The yield, so this is another one. Yield of rice was 1.23, 2.79, 3.19, and 1 and 4.7 tons for the farms of Dong, Sheng, Cheng, Wong, and Shen, or it could be John, Jacob, or whatever in Kerala. So then I arranged that. Does it make any difference? One is as in a text, one is in a table. These results are easier to take in when presented in a table. Certainly, in this case, a table is better, but I don't think the table is complete. So now I arranged this in a better way, Dong, Zheng, Cheng, Wong, and then I had a bit more structure there. It looks good, but still it's not perfect. One reason is that, do we need all that decimal points? That's another biggest mistake. Tons per hectare is a big number, and you do need to have a, if I were, I would say 1.2, 2.8, and so on. So I arrange it in alphabetical order, but no improvement. Who cares? C comes first, D comes, but that doesn't matter. Now let us look at it in a different way. Arrange in an order of increasing yield. That looks much better, because immediately someone read that can say Wong had only 1 ton and Shen had got 4.2 tons. So that farmer is doing better. Look at the way we're thinking. Very simple thing, but immediately how that goes. Okay, but still not better. What is lacking? The farmer name is there, but we don't still have a unit. Many people doesn't put the unit and submit the paper, and it gets rejected. So I reduce the precision to 1, 1.2, 2.8, 3.2. That's better. Includes as many decimal points as justify the accuracy of yield data. Whereas when you do it in nano particles and nanograms, etc., then you might need a second decimal, third decimal, but not for tons per hectare. Yeah, it's not labeled. We haven't labeled. We got farmer's name and some yield. So there you are, farmer, yield tons per hectare. Look at that. It's much clearer. So how precise you need to go through that. Now, other things are coming. Average soil pH, pH in calcium chloride. Immediately you can see farmer Shen had 4.3 tons of rice yield, and his pH was 6.1, which is close to neutrality, and you know the chemistry behind that. Whereas the Wong had a low yield because he had a low pH. He hasn't corrected. Either he has to do liming, etc. So look at how nicely it comes there. Now, the next question is that now I said, okay, is there a figure better there than a table? Let's look at that. So I put here, very good. So you can have the rice yield in tons per hectare in blue, and the purplish or red is pH. Sheng, nothing wrong there, but I don't think it made a much bigger difference. So there's no need of having a table figure there. I would prefer to have a table. Now, the next one. Is that good? So we got the farmers and then the rice yield in tons per hectare. Good? Good? Come on. Yes or no? Someone is shaking. Speak up. Anyone? It's wrong. You know why? Because the x-axis is not scaled. I cannot connect me and Namir and you, etc. We are individuals. It's not scalable. Farmer is not scaled, whereas the rice is sealed. So never, ever, I have seen this. Never connect data points. If the data on the x-axis are not scaled, regression lines would have been a big mistake. Never do that, but many people submit the paper like that. How can you join one farmer to the other? They are not continuum. In your stats, you have learned that. There's a stats teacher here somewhere. So, okay. So the conclusion is that I think the table was better. The figure didn't make any difference. Nothing wrong with the histogram, but never ever connect data which are not scalable. Now describe what is shown. Do not discuss what is shown. That's a common mistake again, Namir, people make. They started discussing in the result. Nowadays, I'm very strict that never discuss discussion point in the result. Okay, because immediately I say, oh, the pH, the farmer yield was higher with the increase in pH. Then I start saying, okay, the pH makes the nutrients available better, etc. That's not the point where you're not dealing with that. Each abbreviation used in figure or table, even when you use the same abbreviation throughout the text, this is also very important. Every figure, title, caption, every table should be standalone. So for example, if you already said that abbreviation, etc. in the material method, me as a referee doesn't have the time to go and look at it. So everything should be standalone. Repeatedly, you have to say that. Okay. Explain errors, standard deviation, LSTs, p-values, and these are very consistent. Sometimes you mention one table, the second table doesn't come, and that's called self-explanatory, standalone. Again, some people put 1 star, 2 star, etc., but they don't say PE less than 0.05001, etc. That's again, repeat that. Recommended preferred SI units. Some people use SI units are not existing. You must check with the journal and use the more modern SI units. If in addition, double prefixes are best avoided. For example, use milligram per gram rather than milligram per kilogram, right? So milligram per gram is better than milligram per kilogram. So for example, for information SI conversion, there is a website which is helpful. Have a look at that. And there's a lot there. For example, recommended and preferred ones, and then non-SI or discouraged one. You can see these are very important for you to look at it. Now, result, we are continuing. Figure 1, describe what it shows. Number figures in order of appearance in the text. Table 1, describe what it shows. Lead the reader through the data from one figure or table to the next. Arrange a logical flow from section to section. So it's a very much creative arts. You know, you are trying to convey the message, a communication. Someone who is reading, to start with the reviewers, but someone who is referring, oh, it's a very nice paper. And I really enjoyed reading that. That's what we are trying to do. That's what we are trying to impress. And that's the way it should be. This makes it easy for everyone. Clear? All right. Continue with the writing. Now, people jump on, even I haven't started the materials and method. I go to discussion in my case because results and discussions are interconnected. Now I know my roadmap, then only I will put the materials and method. But some people write material method after the results. That's fine. Make a structure for your discussion. And in fact, the discussion is the most hardest part. So a lot of people write their results and they still contemplate and they're not. Discussion is very hard because we cannot repeat simply as we said in the result. Discussion is about what do you want to discuss. Decide the section in discussion dot point. Don't start writing an entire discussion. Make a structure for each section dot points. Decide what you wish to describe in each section. Place your results in a wider context. That is the most important one. You must have done in Kerala, right? And you say that Kerala, Tarara, etc. That's fine. But who cares? Where do you want to take your result? If you did a practice and it reduced the CO2 emission or improved the soil organic carbon, you need to look at that, how it is applicable to elsewhere in the world. That's a very important part. Compare your results with those in the literature. And if you agree, you agree. If you disagree, or why your results are different, you have to have substantiate that. Okay. For example, yours is a tropical country. Mine is more towards a temperate country. The decomposition of the biomass starts faster. You have got a lot of rainfall or leaching of the nutrients, whereas my leaching is less. And how does that affect the plant growth? And so on. Then start writing the discussion. So structure, dot points, you and your supervisor agree with that. Then start writing, where they go and write in 100 miles and the whole thing, because you're filling up with a lot of words. It doesn't mean it's a cohesive structure. Finish with a paragraph in which you tell the reader what the main point is. That's also important at the end. The take-home message. So when I see a paper, I look at the title, I look at the authors, where it is coming from. I quickly read the abstract. Oh, it's nice. Then I park it because I need it. So I know where it is. I parked. And then I go and look at the conclusion. Gosh, this is really good paper. Whereas if it is not really exciting, you just leave it. Then I will never refer that paper, and means they will not get any citation, and it's just dead. So the discussion sound exciting. The order in discussion may differ from the result. The result may be saying that, okay, you found the temperature, etc. Whereas in the discussion, you don't need to follow the same structure. You may take, there are two approaches. One is you may state your hypothesis and say my hypothesis was valid or validated. And then you describe why that hypothesis was validated. Figure, table, etc. Explain what they show. Place your results in a wider context, as I mentioned in the discussion. How do your data compare with those in the literature? Finish with a take-home message. That's so important in your discussion. It need not to be long, but it need to be sufficient length. Bit more about the discussion. A good researcher is excited about the results. Make sure that reader also gets excited. Explain why your work is important and exciting. You're selling that. Start with the reviewer, then of course with the researchers. Selling my idea. That is what you're doing. Now, style in the discussion. Write about your own results in the past tense. Again, I mentioned that because it has already been done. Describe the published data in the present tense. See, now we're changing that in the discussion. Avoid complicated construction. Some people have very complicated sentences. For me, it's very hard. Simple sentences, straight messages, cut down the jargon. So the rates of phosphorus uptake were not significantly different. Nothing wrong. I'll just write the rate of phosphorus uptake were the same. When it is not significantly different, you don't need to say it's not significantly different unless you just say it's the same. There may be some difference, but statistically it is not sound. So you might just say confidently say it's not different. So for me, I start the materials and methods now only. So I have done the result, I have done the discussion, everything done, tables done, figures done. Once you know which data you will include, write up all the materials and methods used to acquire the data. Methods, check if your method works from recoveries and standard reference details of the modification you made. Some people say I modified after such and such. Now that's not enough. What modification you have made that method to measure soil carbon or nitrous oxide emission? Equipment, chemical, manufacture, city, these are important. If you use the equipment, you must know. The idea behind is that if anyone sitting in, let's say, in Africa, they want to do that research, they should be able to take that and repeat that result. So you're not writing just for your own sake. So that's why the accuracy of the method is very, very important. Growing condition and treatment. For example, some people say, I grew my plants in room temperature in New Delhi. For me, room temperature in New Delhi and room temperature in Australia is different. So I must say, what temperature was your room temperature? If I say 25 degrees Celsius day and 15 degrees at night, then I can repeat that experiment if I want. If you say simply room temperature in KAU, no one knows that. Species, Latin name is very important. Authority, Linnaeus, cultivar. The whole idea is that, again, people know what exactly going on. Materials and method include all relevant detail. Check your chosen journal for how it is done. So you must use the journal format. For example, Nature, the materials and method come last, not after the introduction. Do not use modified after, but describe the modification. Describe so that someone else can repeat your experiment. Be precise. I mentioned about the room temperature is not an accurate description. Basically, do a meticulous job. Very easy to write that. Now, some people already done their introduction, remember, even before the writing. So now we are coming to introduction because you know your result, you know your method, you know the discussion. So some of the references you used in discussion is also similar to in your introduction. Briefly review the literature that is relevant to your manuscript. Use discussion as a guideline. Do not just write this introduction for half a dozen colleagues working in Kerala Agricultural University or elsewhere exactly in the same field, but write for a range of interesting scientists globally. Finish with the aim of your work and present a clear hypothesis. Many people write the introduction and then I find very hard to see what was your overall objective, and you may have two hypotheses. So we tested two hypotheses. Hypothesis number one, hypothesis number two. So that should be the end of your introduction section. We'll then briefly review the literature in the introduction. That's very important. Address a wider audience than those working exactly in the same field. Aim of your research and a good hypothesis. A good hypothesis that one can be tested, but it does not need to be correct. You know, not all hypotheses can be correct. So this is so important. So basically someone reads and, oh, this is a fascinating topic. Very interesting, right? A bit more about the introduction. Explain why you did your research. The fact that nobody has done before is not a good reason. You study may follow logically from previous work. Your project may have been inspired by a practical problem of industry, the farmer. So that's good. So basically, why did I do this work? If you don't get that correct, then again, you can get a rejection in good journals. So references is very important. Be balanced. Some people self-cite, Siddiq et al., Siddiq et al. So it's not good to have simply putting all my papers just to get a citation. Avoid too many references of the work yourself, I mentioned. Cite the primary literature if referring to a key finding. Sometimes you have not read that literature. You may have got it from someone else, but that someone else may have made the mistake. Then you are making the same mistake. Cite a review if you wish to refer to the fact that has been found by numerous authors. That's good. There's a good review came out last week. Then you say, okay, that review has cited many, and then you can do that. Cite textbooks only when referring to generally accepted knowledge. So there was a time when people used to do, but nowadays we don't really refer textbooks. No need. Check the required format of the journal, order in the text and list, correct abbreviation of the journal, books and names of the publisher are all cited reference in the list. That's another common mistake. Some people put a reference in the reference list, but it is not cited in the text. That means you are not cross-checking. Although we use EndNote these days and do not entirely depend upon EndNotes, it's always better to check that and cross-check. Now, acknowledge the input of the people, agencies who allowed you to write this manuscript, funding bodies, your supervisor, if not a co-author, but in many cases he will be, or she will be, your technician, if not a co-author, your colleague who gave some bright ideas or critically reading your manuscript, someone who helped you with the language, then granting agencies, the funding agencies, and others. Title, this is most important. It should cover the main aims or message. You can these days look at various options. It should appeal to your audience. Title is so important. It should not be too long. Avoid titles with the numbered subtitles. Someone put as a big title and then say A or 1, then it gets lost because your paper may not be found in searches. So the search engine will not pick up. So the main title is important. Running title, some journals also require a subtitle. It cannot exceed a certain number of characters. Check instruction for others. Should cover the main aim and or messages. It is an abbreviated version of your title. It's only printed out in some pages of your paper. It's not used for literature search. So the main one is your main title. It is therefore less important than good title, but the journal says they want to have a subtitle, so you had to have that. Clear? Abstract. So some people already written their abstract even before, so now we are going to write. It should not contain the aim. It should contain the aim of your research. Do not use references in this part. Avoid references. If you must for some specification, then all detail must be there as in the reference list, but without the title because an abstract must stand alone. Make sure the main results and take-home messages are there also. Keywords, this is also very important. Choose limited number of keywords that describes your research. Do not use words that already appear in the title, so you're wasting your time because search engine can pick up there. Think of words that you would look for doing a literature search. Remember, if you use the clever keywords, then chances of someone picking up your reference through a search engine is better. Arrange alphabetically, important. If you start with A, B, C, like that. Let me think. Abbreviations, very important. Explain. Common done in sections with separate headings. Sometimes it's better to have a separate table in certain journals. Avoid using abbreviations in the abstract. If you must, this abbreviation must be explained when used for first time. What are the authors and their addresses? This is a very contextual issue. Make sure that all authors have a chance to read your manuscript before submitting, especially when you have international people. I had some people submitted the manuscript without my final approval, and then journals do contact us. So I have to ask them to withdraw because it's a dangerous thing to submit without, say, or, make sure that you send to all others and say, now we have completed the paper. You all had the chance to input. And if I don't hear from you within the next 7 days, we are planning to submit in such and such journals. So you have at least informed. If there any controversy comes, you can show that. These are all ethical practices. Never add an author if this person has not had a chance to read the manuscript. Very, very important. Include the name of the institute, university, laboratory where the work was done as the first address. If you haven't moved, so you moved from KAU to somewhere after your PhD, then you can put the present address, but you will put the primary address as KAU because that's where you have done the work. How do you present the names of all the international journals? This is very important. Family names and things get confused. Use the journal specifies there. Different from where done in some countries. That's a big issue here in Kerala. What is the order of authors? This is when a lot of debates and arguments come. The person who did the work and wrote the manuscript should be the first author. Very clear. For example, some students finish their thesis. They have not done. They went and repeatedly, and I'm generous, I give them. Then the supervisor say, I wrote the paper and I'm going to be the first author because the student never finished that. But these are issues need to be sorted out. Corresponding author is the one that will be contact for the journal. Sometimes the student and the supervisor can be the corresponding authors. Maybe the group leader, senior or the corresponding author can be the same. The research team leader appears. In my case, a lot of times now I'm the last author because a lot of them come from my lab and so on. Frequently made mistakes, invalid statistics. This is a big issue why your paper is rejected. It hasn't really done the proper stats. Presenting linear regression when one axis is not scaled. I showed you that with the farmer. Units lacking in tables or figures. Incorrect units. Again, there are a lot of listed. No numbers or legends to the tables or figures. I've also seen people submitting papers without page numbers. It's not my job to work out the page numbers. Low, very negative, not high water potential. So people just write like that. Cited reference not given in the reference list. Incorrect sloppy style of referencing. Data shows instead of data show. Anthropomorphogenic reasoning, plans attempt or plans struggled. These are all pretty inappropriate. Too many decimals when you don't need to do that. No space between values and units. For example, 20 meters, it should be 20 space meter. 20% should be 20. Well, that's I should have had a space there. It should be there. Then 10 millimoles per meter square per second should be 10 millimoles. Then space meter square per second. A lot of mistakes like that comes in. Then they mix US English with the British English. That's either follow the journal instruction. If you use US English consistently, all throughout you have US English. Something must never do. Very simple. What's that? Never copy whole sentence or paragraph without referring to the original text. So these days it's so tempting for us to copy someone else's stuff and put it in your paper. This is called plagiarism. It's one of the worst crimes in science. It will make you look bad when discovered, which will probably happen these days because there are programs which can dictate that. Similarity index. It ruin your scientific career. Just don't do it. This is very dangerous, particularly students. And they have the program. They run the whole thing and they say, you got 60% of a similar from somewhere else. You have a big job. Some journals say if it is more than 20%, they will not even accept. So fraud science, this is happening. Publication of results that you have not really acquired and considered fraud. There are examples. Scientists have published results that were copied from other journals. Other scientists have published results that were not really based on actual experiments. People have done that. It's one of the worst crimes in science. You are going to get caught. Finally, a few comments on language and structure of the sentence. After that, we'll give you a short break. Okay? Is it okay? Yep. Okay, now I just want to submit the paper, then we can come back. Okay? So a few hints. Avoid complicated sentences. Do not use words that you think you understand but have not really checked carefully. Too easy to do when using computer program without checking a dictionary. Do not make sentences that are too long. Use a spelling checker and use either UK English, I mentioned, or US English, but not a mixture of both. Now, this is something I just copied in China. So there's a lot of mistakes there. You can see bowling room, sauna room, swimming pool, guest lift, business center. Spelling checks pick up some mistake, but not all. Should be sauna. If you do a spelling check, it's okay. The sauna is fine. Barber, ball, not bowling room, ballroom, guest. So if you do a spelling check by computer, it would not have picked up. So you had to read. Very clear. It's already, I can see in Kerala also many places, the hotels and many signages when I go through the car. Another one, exit to, exit to. Conversation, conservation. If I wrote instead of conservation, conversation, the computer would not have picked up, but the whole meaning is lost. Dangerous, endangered is different and dangerous is different. So here it is. This is the exit to conversation and the value, a dangerous research plan. I mean, if I do without knowing, it's fine, but they are completely wrong. Exit to should be exit to, conversation should be conservation, dangerous should be endangered species. Okay. I don't know where it went, some other things. It jumped. Let's, can someone help here? No. I just, it jumped. So let us look at it here. Then we haven't finished. We have to go for a break. Okay. Something is not right. Can we connect? It jumped all on a sudden. Then we'll soon stop after one. Jumping. That's what I want. This one. Connection. Correct now. I just we will now before we break we'll go up to submission. So some more thing, the information that begins a sentence established for the reader a perspective of viewing a sentence. How to write a good sentence, that's what I'm trying to do here. An example of how not to begin a sentence is given here. Regardless of the phosphorus concentration supplied to the other root half, the concentration in root half supplied with 1 micromole P were low. This is what someone has written. But I would rewrite like this. The P concentration in root halves supplied with 1 micromole P were low, regardless of the P concentration supplied to the other root half. The first one is nothing wrong, but the main message is hiding somewhere. So each sentence, each paragraph has to be very carefully crafted. So the important part is placed at the beginning. Therefore, that sentence is order you should use. Don't bring unimportant things first. So if you start that, that's an example. So beginning with the exciting material and ending with a lack of luster often leaves us disappointed and destroys our sense of momentum. Therefore, the structure of a discussion should be both logical and exciting. Begin with an overview of the importance of your finding. Continue to explain the rest in context of literature. Hide what must not include it, but is not really exciting. This can be done by presenting in a table in results without further discussing. You don't need to discuss every bit in your discussion. Finish with the most important and exciting aspects, take home message. No need to use the same order as in result. Now the structure of the paragraph, I think it's jumped again. Text is organized in paragraphs. Paragraphs have a distinct structure. They are not arranged so as to have certain number of sentences or lines. Some paragraphs may be big, some may be short. Paragraphs deal with one topic. Don't mix too many things in paragraphs. This is very important. Paragraphs within the sentence that sets the scene, an introduction to what paragraph is about. The paragraph finished with a conclusion, a sentence that refers back to the first sentence. You don't write as conclusion, but when you read a paragraph, you have a beginning, you have something, you have an end to that paragraph. I found the following websites very useful: commas and synonyms and explanation of the words. This is also a lot of mistakes we make. That's the elements of style. Roget's Thesaurus, Fowler's Dictionary, that's all available. A final check before we submitting. Check the instructions of the authors to again. Did you follow all the instructions properly? Many students does that. They send to the journal. Within 7 days or 3 days, it come back. It's bad saying that you have not followed the instruction of this journal. Remember, it is not the task of reviewers or the editor to take care of details. You should have checked yourself. Your manuscript, not maybe, will be sent back without review if you not have addressed all that items. Check carefully. Before you submit your manuscript to a journal, ask a colleague, friend, or a discussion group to review your manuscript. Their suggestion may lead to elimination of small mistakes and improve readability of your manuscript. Send it off and wait for the editorial decision. I think we will take a short break and come back. Then what I'm going to do after that, we submitted. What should we do? When we get the response back, what should we do? And then how do you respond to that? Because chances are that, one, you may get a straight rejection after going through and say, look, this is not suitable, nothing we can do. The other one is come back, accepted without any revision. That's not going to happen these days. I think I had only 1 or 2 papers in my life. The third one is called a major revision. That's going to happen, and we have to do the revision, and so we'll address that. So you have seen conceptualization, getting the experiments done, the data collected, how to write all that, gone through everything, and you have submitted to the journal, taken off. Now let's have a short break and come back. Is that okay? No, just if they want to stand up or something, okay. Just stand up for a few seconds. And if you want to just stretch yourself. 3, 4 minutes. Or maybe we'll go and take a photo now. Why don't we go and take a photo? Okay, I got ideas all the time. Yeah, I know, yeah. Now it won't take long.
So we are going for a short break. Everyone should gather on the hall for a photo. After the photo session, you should have to come back.
Ready? Should be finishing soon. You're the... Yeah, sit here, sit. ഒന്ന് വിട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനെ കിട്ടാൻ വിഷമം അല്ലേ? Where are they gone? Toilets. ആണോ? Kids ഇപ്പൊ 1 o'clock. A lot of them are there, more than 100. They're coming or they're not coming? Getting in. They went to... Oh, they had coffee there. Coffee machine. You have a machine? Yeah. Oh. Like, oh. Correct. So you didn't bring me a coffee. So it won't take any more time. We will finish it soon. നമ്മൾ ഓൾറെഡി ഡിലേ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കാർ വന്ന് തന്നെ 9 മണിക്കാ. ഞാൻ സാധാരണ 8-നും 7:30 ഇറങ്ങാറുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. Good. Come. We have to finish this now. Ready? So it must be exam time coming here soon, isn't it? Exam time, yes. Is it? But normally end of the May they close it, summer vacation. Yeah, but here it will be also soon. Different. ഇല്ല അങ്ങനൊന്നുമില്ല. ജൂൺ ജൂലൈ ഒന്നും ക്ലോസ് ഇല്ല. Summer close. But that may affect. It will affect with the IRI and all that. Issue. I know when we started, we had this issue. At the moment in IRI, exams going on semester. It's hard, but you have to do it. If you want to go studies to North. പിന്നെ എന്തെങ്കിലും കൊണ്ട് ബ്രേക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ സ്ട്രൈക്ക് ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല, പണ്ട് സ്ട്രൈക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവും. Okay, shall we start now? Okay. Ready? So we have submitted our paper with all the hard work. Now let us look what next. That's a question you may have. Okay. So these days it's all electronic. You should receive a note from the journal that your manuscript has been received, saying the corresponding author will get. Sometimes all others will get. If this doesn't happen, check the journal, because I'll be getting worried why there is no acknowledgement. Either it hasn't reached them or something. After several weeks, you will receive an editorial decision. That decision will be anything from 3-4 weeks. Some journals could be up to 2 months, because the review process is voluntary. And for example, I get review requests from many journals. I'm traveling, I may not be able to do it. Then they have to find another person. And let's say if you are not getting, you submitted. These days, many of the journals got the electronic system where you can monitor your submission date. Has it been with the editor or is it gone to the reviewers? You can see that. So once the reviewers makes a decision, come back to the editor, and then editor have a look at it, or sub-editor, then it comes. So it can take time. The decision can be, I mentioned, accepted without revision, extremely rare. Number 1, accepted with a minor, major revision. This can happen. Rejected without an invitation to resubmit the manuscript. That's also very, very common these days. those who have done may understand. How do you respond when the minor major revision is required? Carefully consider all points raised by the reviewers and the editor. They have spent time on your manuscript and you must give their points careful attention. This is very important. Make the requested changes if you consider that these changes are appropriate. Most cases, you have to make the changes. Explain in a letter to the editor why you did not make any changes. If, for example, you say, thank the referee for that, but we believe that the changes is not warranted, and you have to write. So I'm pretty good in responding to the journal. I make sure that every bit is picked up. So the beauty is that if you respond nicely, made the changes, then it convinces. Many cases, this goes back to the original reviewers. Me spend a lot of time, and I don't want to see you simply brush through, then I will say reject it. That's what happened. You got one chance. Then if your manuscript is rejected, everyone get angry, right? Don't be angry, write a rebuttal. Some people write to the editor, we are highly disappointed, you have not done, etc. It's not worth going and writing like that. How to write a rebuttal letter is very important. Sometimes you can do that. Be polite. Always be polite. Thank the reviewers and editor for the time they have taken on your manuscript. Explain your case clearly. Accept the editor's response. How to respond when a manuscript has been rejected without an invitation to resubmit. Carefully consider the critical points raised by the reviewers. Use the critical points to improve your manuscript. You may need to do more literature, or we may have to do more experiments. Revise your manuscript. Resubmit the manuscript. Thank you. To the same journal, if invited to do so. Some journals say, we are releasing the manuscript for such and such reasons. No point in resubmitting, so then don't worry about it. On the other hand, if they haven't written that, they may say, okay, your paper needs more work, etc. But we may reconsider your manuscript as a new manuscript. Then only you go back. All right? Never submit your manuscript to an alternate journal without appropriate revision. This is the common mistake. You know why? You got a rejection. There were a lot of comments. You did not address the comment. You were angry, and then you simply changed the style and sent it to another journal. Guess what? That paper will come back to me, because in the world, I'm not saying me as a person, that referee is an expert in that area. Can you imagine that referee looks at that and see these people, and you know what the end result? They will write to the editor and say, I have seen this one. Here are my comments. They never bothered. And so another rejection, it happens. So you revised, you responded nicely, send it, and then you are waiting. Okay? So it's really a balancing act. With the right aptitude, it is just a matter of learning a few tricks. Thank you. So that's where the paper is simply, so we started from the beginning. We looked at all things. So we submitted, we got the response, various type of response, we addressed that, and then go down. It's more difficult to publish a paper than having a baby. Right? And the baby does start in 9 months, you got a baby, but the paper, very hard. So now I'll take some questions. I'm here to make some questions. But I hope you all got something from this. You can ask anything to measure that, because it's important. Some of you are good, right? All of you, right? Yeah. Masters of there are some
Thank you, sirs, for your wonderful lecture. Myself, Dr. Krishnapriya MK. I have completed my PhD. Now, currently, I'm working as an assistant professor in College of Agriculture, Vellaini. Sir, I have got 3 doubts. The first doubt is, while writing the introduction part, is it mandatory to mention about the research gaps, particularly in our field?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and the simple answer is yes. But you don't need to say there is a research gap, etc. You will say what is known and what is not known. And sometimes say, oh, no one in the world has done so. That's not the way. You really say in such a way, this is done, but our such information is lacking. You need to use the right word. It's important. To sell that.
So it's not mandatory, but
Yeah, but it's important because you are trying to say that one is a background to this research. Then you just saying what is going on. Then you come and say, what is the aim of this thing, that you're connecting that. So in a way, you need to look at that, because if that exists already, you don't need to do that work.
so just to show the novelty of our work,
Yeah,
it is.
novelty, and there is a gap. That's why you're doing that research.
Okay, thank you,
Good.
sir.
Have a look at some good papers, what you are going to publish. See how beautifully they have crafted, and it's really has to be strong, convincing. Yeah.
Sir, then in case of writing the materials and methods, we'll be following a particular order. And in that same order, we'll be writing probably the results.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Not necessarily. You can a different style, but generally speaking, the materials methods in a logical order. But the results, sometimes people present the final result first, and in a what you call deductive way. Some people write, okay, the weather, soil, and then move on building up the yield that last. So there's no thing. The best thing for you is that you go into that journal, the one which you are targeting, pick up the most recent similar papers, even if it is not similar, have a look at that.
Okay, sir. So my last doubt.
Yeah.
After giving a paper for publication, sometimes it will get rejected mostly.
yeah.
So once rejected, the particular journal is suggesting some of the other journals.
I know. Yeah, I know.
So is there any worth in giving publication?
Yeah, you have to look at it. Some of them are not as good journal as that, and they also need more money and so on. But even good journals do suggest. That's your choice. I haven't gone and taken some of them, but some of them are good. They are good journals. They say you don't need to make a big changes, and they haven't sent it for review. They said that they will transfer into sister journal, and what the good thing about is that it hasn't gone through the review, but they think it is more targeted to that system. For example, let's say Wiley or a Springer. So they have a string of journals and they target, and then have a discussion within your group, agree, and then go for it. The beauty is that you don't need to redo, you don't need to do, etc. And the journal will transfer that. For example, when I go for nature, so I have got nature genetics or nature plants, nature food, nature communication, nature climate. They say, oh, this is more relevant to nature food. We are happy to transfer. I said, yeah, go ahead. But you need to look at the type of journals they're trying. Okay, thank you.
so
Good
much.
questions. Yeah. Students, PhD students, third year, fourth year now. You must be in lot of questions there. And master students also. Yep. And master student, I just got one of my master student. She's from Bangladesh, and she just wrote me. The paper is already published last week. Of course, I knew it will. It's a good journal of soil science and plant nutrition. So she did a very small study, but we crafted in such a way. The soil was collected from ongoing experiments in long-term experiment. So I suggested to take some this kind of pots, sharpen, then we hammered that, uplifted the soil exactly from that. So that's a long-term experiment with chemical fertilizer, organic manure, liming. So the effect was transported into Perth, to my university. Then she grew wheat on that. She measured all the things, including the microbes, and we put that into a paper. So she would have worked only less than 6 months. So difficult to get a paper from that. So she's over the moon. So she may get an admission for PhD with that paper. And I made sure that she's the first author. I also said I don't want to be a corresponding author deliberately, although most of the work I done, put her as the corresponding author. So when she applied for her PhD elsewhere, she's gone back to Bangladesh, she will get admission because it's a good journal and she's a corresponding author. She's also the first author. So I'm just saying how less than 6 months work, of course, it's a lot of work, even after submission, we did. All right, anything else? Very good. No? But also read a lot of journal papers. One of the drawbacks, students are not reading because most is online available. Most of the journals in that area, your area, read and try to, it's an acting job. You're really trying to similar type of style, your data, and then good analysis, good graphical abstract, all that will help. Okay, thank you. We will see when we see.
We would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Professor Kadambut Sindhik sir for leading today's workshop. Your guidance on navigating the publish or perish landscapes have provided us with a much clearer roadmap for our future publications. As a token of our gratitude, we request Dr. Nami sir to kindly hand over the memento.
As we come to the end, I would like to invite Ms. Abhishna, CCCS Alumni Treasurer, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all of you. Honorable dignitaries, respected faculty, and dear teachers, staffs, and students. As we arrive the conclusion of this workshop, it is my honor to present this vote of thanks on behalf of College of Climate Change and Environmental Science. We begin with our chief guest, Siddiq sir. സാറ് നമുക്ക് 2010 നമ്മുടെ കോഴ്സ് സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ തൊട്ടേ സാറ് അറിയാം. അപ്പോൾ തൊട്ട് സാറ് നമുക്ക് കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഹെൽപ്പും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഗൈഡൻസ് ഒക്കെ തരുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇത്രയും വർഷക്കാലം ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനെ ഈ നിലയ്ക്ക് സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അതൊരു ചെറിയ കാര്യമല്ല. സോ I would like to express our sincere gratitude for your continuous support and guidance, sir. You have always been there to help us, motivate, and push us to do better even during challenging times of our period. We truly appreciate the effort you put into teaching and mentoring us in the right direction, sir. So I would like to thank again such an insightful and an informative section here. Thanks, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful section. Next, I extend to my deepest gratitude to Dr. K. N. Anit, sir, Director of Research, for delivering such an inspiring and enlightening inaugural address. It is with the great admiration and affection that I express my heartfelt thanks to our own Nami, sir. He is the guiding force behind today's programs. Thank you, sir, for such giving an important and relevant, wonderful program. And I extend my sincere gratitude to all the teaching, non-teaching, and technical staff for their dedicated effort in sincerely organizing and conducting this program. And finally, our participants, students, and researchers, you are the reasons for workshop truly matters. On the behalf of the entire SES family, I thank each one of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, all of you.
So I request all to please stand for the national anthem.